Good morning, everyone. Dr. Vicki here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. Today is Saturday, the 13th of September, and the moon is in Gemini. Before I get started with the astrology, I just want to make a comment. Many of you have noticed that these videos have been coming out later. And I just wanted to let you know that I do these when I usually do them early in the morning, although now that the sun is coming up later, I seem to get up later. But pretty much I do these first thing in the morning, and then I go to upload them, and it has taken anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to upload the video. It is a 5-minute video. It shouldn't take that long. I have no idea what's going on, but I've been having some issues with that over the last couple of weeks, actually. So I just want to mention that to you guys. So if you don't see it early, have patience. It's coming. If I'm nothing, I'm consistent with that. So, all right, what's happening today? We have the moon in Gemini. Gemini is a Mercury ruled sign. The sun is in Virgo. Virgo is a Mercury ruled sign. So the question is, what's Mercury doing? Well, Mercury's in Virgo, and today Mercury makes a superior conjunction to the sun. Mercury and sun make two types of conjunctions. Conjunctions are when they're sitting at the same degree. They can make what we call a superior conjunction. This happens when Mercury is direct, and an inferior conjunction will happen when Mercury is retrograde. Those inferior conjunctions, when Mercury is retrograde, the answers lie within. Mercury is much closer to the earth, and so we really have to sort of go within, quiet our minds to get the messages. However, when it is superior, it almost acts like an opposition. And oppositions bring awareness. Now, we cannot have an opposition between the sun and Mercury because of the geometry of where Mercury sits and where the sun sits and how we see it from our perspective. But when Mercury has a superior conjunction with the sun, as it does today, the sun sits between us and Mercury is actually at the same degree of the sun. But it's on the other side of the sun. So it does bring a certain perspective that we can get. And so I want to talk about this Mercury conjunct the sun in Virgo. And I want to talk about the Sabian symbol for that. So just give me a second. I have to put my coffee down because I can't read what I need to read with coffee in my hand. Okay. So the conjunction between Mercury and the sun is occurring at 21 degrees of Virgo. A girls' basketball team is the symbol for that. And it says receptivity to collective forces. Putting aside competitive individual goals, we can turn to higher forces that focus on the bigger picture and collective aspirations. Putting community goals above personal ambition. That is what the message is today. As we bear witness to a tragedy that occurred with Charlie Kirk, not a guy I necessarily agreed with ever, said a lot of awful and terrible things. And was actually being questioned on gun violence when his life was taken by somebody with a gun. Now, unfortunately, this kind of stuff is not that unusual here in America. But what is unusual is that as soon as it happened, the powers that be, the people who are responsible for the health and welfare of this country and the people in it, started to blather about radical leftist bullshit, really. And so it really sort of points to the idea that when it comes to this stuff, we're a bit on our own. And on our own is our own, us, all of us together. Hopefully, people on the right who would normally point fingers at us would see that the person who did this was in fact not a radical leftist. I mean, what is a radical leftist? Somebody who believes in, I don't know, universal health care, feeding the poor, equity and inclusion of all people. That's the radical left. Well, sign me up, guys. Sign me up. So the stars are giving us a message, yes? So let's not listen to the powers that be, not that we do, but let's just pretend that those guys are just clanging bells that we don't, it's just a discordant thing we don't want to hear. Now, it doesn't prevent us, or shouldn't prevent us, from being careful out there, all us radical leftists. And of course, because it was something he said, and he was shot for what he said. Well, who knows what he was shot for? We don't know if he was shot for what he said, right? There's got to be something, because this kid has some sort of thing against Kirk, who is a Trump guy. So to understand the machinations of this radical right. It's I don't know. They play with fire every day, gunfire, unfortunately. Not that every mass shooter is necessarily radical right, but very often there's commonality in what we see. It's a tragic story, but I just wanted to bring your attention to what the stars are suggesting for us. And so let's work together as a community. Let's make it a safe place for each other, no matter what we believe. And us leftists are kind of pre-wired for that. So it's not going to be a big stretch for us, but there are folks it's going to be a big stretch for. So if we see them attempting, let's just give them a helping hand if we can. Or we could just step back and watch them eat themselves. So that's Story, Morning Glories. Have yourself a wonderful day. Check out Mystic Sisters tonight. It's going to be on this channel. I'm calling it Mystic Sisters Shelter from the Storm. Shelter from the Storm. So check it out, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Much love to you all. Hopefully we can get this up in a timely manner. Much love, everyone. Namaste.